I am Bob Donlin, the white Mamba. I lost 37 pounds in 8 weeks of gutless.
Bob, how you doing? Good to see you today. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Tell us how much you lost over the 8-week gutless challenge, and then let us know what you think about gutless.
All right, great to see you too, Bryce. My name is Bob Donlin. I live in San Rafael, California, beautiful Marin County. I am married with 4 little boys, ages 7, 5, 3, and 9.5 months old. 4 little boys. I work as a realtor for Berkshire Hathaway in residential real estate, helping people buy and sell homes and investment properties. And over the 8 weeks of gutless, I lost 37 pounds. Went from 224 pounds to 187, the lightest weight in a long time. I think since maybe my freshman year of college. And gutless for me was life-changing and transformational. I didn't realize how much I needed the program when I signed up. I took just kind of a leap of faith and invested in myself and my future. And it became very clear within, days how impactful the program was going to be for me on my life and for my family. So life-changing and transformational, I would say.
Amazing. I also see that you haven't updated your wardrobe yet. That shirt looks a little big on you, sir.
This shirt was one of my favorite shirts 3 months ago because it was a little forgiving. It was a little stretchy. And it is now no longer form-fitting. It is very loose.
It's a common side effect and problem, if you will, associated with gutless.
I was at a wedding on Friday, and I packed Thursday night, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna wear those like red salmon kind of pants that I bought several years ago that didn't really fit even when I bought them, but there was a crazy clearance. I was like, I'm gonna wear those, and I was swimming in them. They were so big. Felt so good though.
Amazing. And did you see that kind of universally across the board with your class? And now you see the Griffins going through. So once you're in the Gutless Elite, you're in the Gutless Elite forever. So you have the benefit of seeing the next classes of guys come in. And you also saw the guys before you go through Gutless, saw the tail end of it. Would you say universally that shirts aren't fitting, clothes aren't fitting in a good way? Belt loops and sizes are dropping, holes are being punched into belts because they no longer fit. Is that a pretty common thing in gutless? Was it common within your class, and is it common from what
incredibly common, I would say. The guys that committed, which is the large percentage of them, that happened for everybody. Yeah, definitely.
Great. And you recently had some blood work done. So that was interesting. Thank you for sharing that with me. If you can talk the audience through some of the qualitative changes and the quantitative. So we'll start with the quantitative since I led with the medical question. Can you talk us through that? And then also just talk about, you talked about confidence, self-esteem, talked about feeling better, how it impacted your family. We can dig into all that on the back end. Let's start with quantitative though.
Yeah, so I had some blood work done last week, and latter part of last year was the last time I had it done, and my cholesterol was the highest number it had been ever in the 10, 12 years that I had records going back. Spoke about some lifestyle changes with the doctor. The blood work done, blood work looks fantastic. Cholesterol overall in great shape. The big sort of figure that stood out to me was my HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol, I believe they call it, has always been very, very low for me. even when I was, younger and more fit. And that number jumped a little over 33%. So now I'm in a good, healthy category and where you want to be. And yeah, I mean, that's last time I had it tested was October. So it was probably even worse if I had it tested in May before I joined Gutless. So super, super stoked about it.
Amazing. And, before we talk about the qualitative factors, when we first started out, we jumped on a pathway call, and I talked about this on our graduation call, but
Yeah.
your energy was so different. It was low. I wasn't sure. You said you were a 10 level commitment, which every man has to be if they're going to
I
come
think I said it was a 9.
in.
And you were like, dude, 9 doesn't work for us. What's up?
Yeah, that's right. So, I was unsure. I'm always optimistic, but I have to be confident that a man's going to show up and do the work, because at the end of the day, I'm not a savior. I don't have miracle pills or potions. Gutless is a faster and more direct path. It's a proven path, but there's no easy path in weight loss. How did you find it with regards to difficulty level? And, you have the support of me and Coach Danny and your G-Pod, the 3 men that you're assigned to who go through as your special unit team, go through it with you as your special unit team, and the class of Gutless Gangsters going through it with you side by side, the larger class. In the beginning when you came in, I think most men have a perception of, well, I don't trust myself to get this done. So when I'm asking about that level of commitment, they're like, well, I'm committed, but they're kind of reflecting their past failures with weight loss. And that's where some of the malaise or kind of the lack of motivation or energy comes through. So can you just talk to us about, how hard was it for you to make this happen? And then also kind of the mindset shift from where you were on that pathway call to where you were 2 weeks in, 4 weeks, and then where you're at now. That'd be great.
Yeah, for me, I remember it on that call, and you asked me, and I said it was a 9, and you were like, well, what's going on? Because everything sounded great about the program. And for me, it was I truly committed and ready for what this program was providing? And I remember we talked for a couple minutes, and I said, I'm in. And from that moment forward, I didn't waver at all in my commitment and dedication to the program. The accountability to myself and to my group, and the program that you've built. We really, as a group with Mark, Rice, Steve, and I, we really, really wanted to win the pod challenge. And so we just leaned in to each other and totally committed. And the program was hard early. I had some days where I felt like crap, but that was short-lived. I think we found ways to focus on other things. Here's where we're going, and we're going to get there together. And, we just really rallied together as the whole group, but really the pod too was huge. I mean, we had one day, the thought of fasting for 24 hours, if you told me I had to do that at the beginning of the program, I would not. I don't.
Nobody told you had to do that. That wasn't.
No. I said, if you had told me at the beginning, you're going to have to fast for 24 hours, I'd be like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. That's not no, I'm not into that. And the thought, it just blew my mind. But then Steve and Mark were like, we're the Kobe challenge. We're doing 24 hours tomorrow. And we all did it together. And, now that is a piece of cake, or would be, like I can do 16/8 whenever I feel like it. I could fast 24 hours if I wanted to without an issue.
And just for the audience out there, as I've always said, so 70% of the Gutless success ratio is diet, exercise is 20%, and fasting is 10%. So some guys like Bob and his team who were trying to break records and hit outstanding goals. Steve lost 43 pounds. Mark Rice, his other teammate, lost 30 pounds. Bob lost 37. So these guys are trying to win the G-Pod contest. Steve Carrick was trying to take the Gutless Goat belt. Danny Marteau actually grabbed it with a 50-pound in 8-week goal and accomplishment. But some of these guys decide to fast for 24 hours. Some even go longer than that. It's not even our recommendation. It's just kind of the way that the trajectory of the program works. Guys will just push each other. And next thing you know, they're doing insane things. They're not insane, but I'll say things that we don't even recommend that aren't necessary to lose 10 to 30 pounds in just 8 weeks. But if you want to lose more than 30 pounds, some guys take that next level of commitment and they will start doing things that are not even a part of our protocol, but push out our 16-8, which is 16 hours fasted, 8 hours of eating. They'll push it out to 24. Some guys will double the workouts, which again are 20% of the program. The 10 to 30 pounds is pretty easy for guys who want to lose 37, 43, 50. They tend to do things that are next level. So
but that's one of the things that I loved about the program too, is like initially when I did the Pathways call with you, I said, well, I'm going to lose 19 pounds, which seemed like crazy. And then the next day when I officially set the goal, I said, well, if I'm doing this, I'm going to go all out. So I said 29 pounds and I wound up losing 37. And what, a couple weeks in, I actually hurt my ankle. So I wasn't able to run or work out for like 2 weeks, but I was able to pull the other levers, which is such a great and powerful part of the program. I was able to really lean in more to the diet. I started to play around with fasting a little bit because the exercise was out of the equation for a couple of weeks, and I'm 37 pounds without being able to exercise part of the time. The flexibility and the options for people within the program is really, really cool.
Yeah, and then we saw PJ. He also had an injury and a situation where he could not work out. He was down to one leg. And then we also had Kenny Chapman, who decided to not really work out at all. He lost 47 pounds. PJ lost 30 pounds in 8 weeks and then went on to lose his total 41 pounds in 10 weeks. But neither one of those guys could exercise at 100%. And then Kenny just chose not to exercise.
Which is to each their own, right? But I mean,
it just goes to show you. So 70% is diet, 20% is exercise, 10% is fasting. And so the X factors are going to be testosterone, estrogen, and insulin, which are the hormones that we play with. But as Bob is saying, you get to pull on those 3 levers. So even if you are taken out by an injury, you can still lose the weight. And if you mess up on one, if you mess up on exercise or diet or fasting, you can always pull a little bit harder on one of the other levers to get yourself back on track. And that's what Bob was talking about with the gutless levers.
Right, and that everyone can do. I took a cheat day every Saturday in the program. Some people don't do that, but with the kids, and they got excited. Oh, is your cheat day, Dad? And then I let myself have those cheat days on Saturday and still lost 37 pounds.
Awesome. And what have been some of the qualitative benefits that you've seen in the household with your family, with your kids, with work, stuff like that? And
I feel so good physically and I look so much better. I heard my wife on the phone a couple of times, God, he looks so amazing. He's never looked this good. I'm like, it's incredible. The kids are fantastic. I have more energy, spending more time with them. So we'll go to this wedding in San Diego on Friday. The house we're staying at had an exercise bike outside, and I arrive. My family got there the day before. I arrive, I'm eating lunch, and my 5-year-old hops up on the bike, and he's riding this little exercise bike, says he's got to get his workout in. My 3-year-old, a picnic dinner with my wife, she looks over, he's like, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, I got to get my push-ups in like Dad. So I feel like it's permeated through the whole family, and it's been a great example for my kids. We've done a couple little workouts together sometimes. They want to chase me at the track if I go running. So it's gone so much deeper than just with myself. I feel like I'm setting up my family to have a a longer, healthier life for them, instilling even more good habits at such a young age.
Yeah, we always say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And time again, we see guys who are concerned about what their wife's going to think, not being able to eat the same foods as the family. But ultimately, the families are going to follow the leader, right? And if the leader's making good decisions and he's happy and he's healthy and he's stronger, they're naturally going to follow in suit. And then also setting that example and being the role model in the household, instilling those principles of health and exercise early on are absolutely critical to making sure that your kids grow up to be functioning, healthy, productive, and strong members of society. So that's certainly a big part of the purpose and the mission, and something we see time and time again. It always makes me smile really widely to hear those stories. That's what we're doing here, man. And yeah, who would you recommend Gutless to? I mean, I work with a lot of dads. You see a couple single guys come in, or guys who are divorced. But for the most part, I work with a lot of dads because dads are convinced that they just don't have time to make the change. And my job is to convince them that they're wrong, and that the first thing they need to do to be a responsible provider and a good role model for their family is to put themselves first. Because ultimately, if you lose, if you have a heart attack, if you get diabetes, if you get so stressed out that you're constantly snapping at your kids and your wife, and you're not being the role model and the dad that they need, then everybody loses. So at the end of the day, carving out a little bit of time for yourself is so critical to make sure that you're the dad and the provider and the role model that everybody is hoping you'll be. Back to the original question I had on my mind. So who would you recommend this to?
Yeah, I did say earlier, like I didn't know, like I didn't feel like I was, super. I was starting at coronavirus, was feeling like I'm starting to get a little bit unhealthy. I had put on, like 8, 9 pounds in a couple months, and it was at the heaviest I'd ever been. But I wasn't feeling like I was, I haven't had lifelong or long struggles with weight where I, um, tried diets and failed and this and that. It just, it's kind of a little bit of a drift, and I'd go in waves of healthy, not healthy, kind of fluctuate the weight, but not feeling horrible until, towards when I signed up. But what I was going to say is I remember on the phone with you, and I'm thinking, gosh, I got 4 kids and a wife and all these explanations and reasons to explain away why I wasn't a priority. And, then when I committed to do it, it was just me making a commitment to myself, and making a commitment to myself. And in doing that, making a commitment to my family as well. I said, we know what I've got now and how things are, but we don't know how good things can be if I'm taking care of myself best. And we've seen now in it's 3+ months or whatever, we're so much better off, and we're in a good spot as a family. My wife and I love each other. We've had a great relationship, but it's even better now. The relationship with the kids is even better. So and what I love about the program is it works for so many people and so many different people. Like for me, I would say I was the guy that, I didn't even know that I needed this program, at the time when I signed up. I didn't know how badly I needed it, and within days, the camaraderie and the connection with other guys going through whatever they were going through was, that was huge for me. So I think I would say if you're, not, you may not feel like you need it, right? Or you may feel like, yeah, it could benefit me. I think that's the guy that needs to put the stake in the ground and prioritize himself and say, I owe it to myself, I owe it to my loved ones, I owe it to whomever to see what else is in there, like what else I'm capable of. Because I've unlocked a whole new level, it feels like, in terms of my life and my happiness. And I would wish that for anyone.
What was your nickname and why?
My nickname was the White Mamba. I had a buddy nickname me that playing college basketball because I had a killer instinct and was super clutch and just a big time baller. So I was an academic All-American, Division II, Division III in college, MVP of the league, team captain, that sort of thing. So he was a big Lakers fan and Kobe guy, and so he called me the White Mamba.
And part of your mission was to reawaken that warrior within, right? So a lot of times we get ex-athletes who look in the mirror and they're like, where did that guy I used to be go? And so it's that loss of athletic identity that can be very painful for men when they've always played sports, or that was a big part of their life, and they still view themselves as kind of that guy, but when they look in the mirror, that guy is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's in there though. I told you and the guys. I had a client I hadn't seen in a few months since before Gutless, and he looked at me. He's like, "Whoa, you've lost a lot of weight." And I looked at him. I was like, "Yeah." He's like, I've changed my diet, working out. I'm feeling great." He looked at me. He said, "You look fantastic. The last time I saw you, I didn't want to say anything, but you were starting to look like a middle-aged man, and you look like a basketball player again." And he was right, and that felt good to hear. And it feels even better to be living like that, you know.
Hell yeah, White Mamba. And do you think this program is something that will work long term, or is this some other, another flash in the pan bullshit keto sort of deal that is going to fail you in a couple of months?
This program, and you have equipped me with the tools to thrive long term. We're 6 weeks, I think, out of the program. The first week out of the program, I, celebrated, let myself go a little bit, and didn't have the discipline that I did in the prior 8 weeks, because I was happy, and I was a little bit like, felt like I deserved a little bit of reward, and loosened things for about a week. Got on the scale, had put on about 5 pounds, and I said, well, I ain't doing that. So it was back on a more disciplined path. But now we're 5 weeks from then. I got a scale. I'm 3.5 pounds lighter than when Gutless ended, and I had Thai food last night, takeout. I have sweets sometimes. Like I had a drink last night too. I mean, I've adopted so much discipline and awareness of my choices that I can have the M3 sort of cheats and things, and it doesn't have a negative impact.
Yes, that's the promise. Thanks for touching on that. So after you're done with the 2 months, the promise is your hormones will be rebalanced, and your gut fat, which is estrogenic, which means that it's converting your testosterone that you're still producing naturally into the female hormone estrogen, has been massively reduced. Your insulin sensitivity has been increased, and we have corrected your metabolism, rebooted your metabolism. So you can actually have a lot of foods back that you can't have in the first 2 months, and you get to have a much more flexible diet, which means a much more viable lifestyle that will last longer than just help the results continue beyond just the 8 weeks. And that's the promise of Gutless and our major differentiator.
Yeah, and that was a big question for me post. Like, what's going to happen post? Like, do I have to do all this still, or what? There was you said you could loosen up and you could do this and you could do that, and I'm now 6 weeks out, living proof of that increase in flexibility and the options, and I could not be happier, my man.
Well, we just got to get you some new shirts. That's
right. I think once things open up a little bit more, I'll go shopping again.
Well, you got a Gutless sweatshirt coming your way.
I'm excited. I texted my wife yesterday when I got the picture. I was like, babe, I'm so stoked. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so great. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, so I'm super, super pumped.
Love it. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Last thing I want you to say is I am Bob Donlin, the White Mamba, and I lost 37 pounds in 8 weeks with Gutless.
I am Bob Donlin, the White Mamba. I lost 37 pounds in 8 weeks of Gutless.
Five
Let's go.
fingers.
Let's go.
Five fingers. Bring it back. Make a fist. Boom. Gutless gang.
Oh,
Talk to you soon, brother.
all right. Love you, brother.
Love you too.